Just in time for Christmas, the Walt Disney Company has remembered their physical media department exists, and so they bless us with a third wave of limited edition steelbooks. Yes, you know the drill by now. These are steelbooks based on the various Disney Plus streaming shows, and each wave has 4 titles included, 2 from Marvel and 2 from Star Wars. And there's the option for 4K or standard Blu-ray between them, some exclusive bonus features made from the cutting room floor, and some art cards just to make the deal feel that little bit sweeter. And one for the audio-video nerds, Disney is returning to Dolby Vision as their preferred HDR format with these steelbooks. Previous sets were released with HDR10 formatting. What does this mean? Short answer, Dolby Vision offers a better viewing experience for the high dynamic range, because the image has more data, therefore it looks better, with a more realistic image and improved colors compared to HDR10. So what upcoming releases do we have this time? Well, I'll cover the Marvel sets first since these are the ones I am the least familiar with generally, although having said that, Loki Season 2 is one that I am genuinely very excited to grab for the collection. I did grab Season 1 initially, which at the time I'd never actually seen before. I'd heard incredible things about the show, but I'm not overly invested in the MCU, and trying to catch up on everything is difficult enough, not to mention many titles after Avengers Endgame have been pretty mediocre, but for once I was pleasantly surprised that the show lived up to expectations and added some much needed dimension to Loki's character. But despite how much I enjoyed Season 1, I've not caught up with the rest, and I was honestly waiting around until the second season did receive a physical release, and as the cliche goes,
all good things to those who wait.
Just like the first season, the artwork is superb for the cover design, which is no surprise, credit where credit's due. You can't fault the designs by Attila Sarker. So much care goes into the covers alone, which does make the steelbooks unique and stand out from any promotional posters. And when compared to the Star Wars sets, I will say the Marvel bonus features actually feel like bonus features in comparison, not just any old toss from the cutting room floor when it comes to stuff that didn't make it into Disney Plus documentaries. We have Loki Through Time looking at the character's history on screen, a gag reel, deleted scenes which are always appreciated, plus the full assembled making of documentary. And I really enjoyed the deep dive into Season 1, so this should be just as good. Overall, an exciting release that I'll likely review on the channel at some point. I did review the first season for those that are interested. I'll put a link to that video down below in the description. Next up for Marvel is Hawkeye Season 1, a show that I genuinely haven't heard anything about critically, and for me, this one definitely slipped under the radar. I don't know if it was well received or if there'll be a second season, but expanding on Hawkeye as a character is not a bad idea, and I do really like Jeremy Renner as an actor, and he's then paired with a new character in this show, Bishop, which I am unfortunately not familiar with. I do recall that Tony Dalton plays a big role throughout this show, who I know from Better Call Saul, and if memory serves, I believe a big reveal right at the end was the return of Kingpin, played by Vincent D'Onofrio, and the Netflix show Daredevil is an incredible series that I'd highly recommend, which was cancelled, in my opinion, just way too soon, but it seemed up in the air how the MCU was going to approach the characters that were established elsewhere in the Netflix shows. At first it was looking as though they'd just be replaced by watered-down, mediocre, babyish shows of their former brutal selves. Having said that, it does appear the Marvel executives have made the right decision and changed things for the better, with the upcoming release of Daredevil Born Again due to release next year. But getting back on topic, Hawkeye Season 1 has similar bonus features to Loki, if not maybe better in some areas, with loads of deleted scenes in comparison, a gag reel, and a show-specific feature titled A Tale of Two Hawkeyes, plus the assembled documentary. And I'll be honest, probably not a title I will grab for the collection. I don't know, is it worth a watch? You can let me know in the comments. When it comes to Star Wars, on the other hand, I am genuinely surprised by their release schedule omitting the Book of Boba Fett. instead jumping straight to The Mandalorian Season 3, and I've said it before on the channel, I wasn't really a big fan of the Boba Fett show. I even made a video discussing in detail why I just felt it didn't work. It took all the weight out of the Mando Season 2 finale, and this incarnation of Boba just doesn't feel right. Plus, he was essentially forced out of his own show by about episode 5 in favour of Mando himself, which is where I'm going with this. Book of Boba is basically The Mandalorian Season 2.5, and watching Season 2 of Mando and then jumping to Season 3 doesn't really make much sense. So, why skip releasing it physically? Well, if there's a positive to take away from this, perhaps Lucasfilm are re-evaluating whether to give Boba Fett a second chance. This time, maybe make the show about the character in the title? Ballsy move, I know, call me old-fashioned for wanting a show titled The Book of Boba Fett to be about Boba Fett. Fucking hell, Disney. But in all seriousness, I would love to see Boba reinvent himself once again as a bounty hunter, maybe a proper rematch against Cad Bane, because they really did him dirty with that so-called death scene. And I also love how this entire sequence references a cancelled story arc in the Clone Wars that would have made this moment all the more impactful. But of course, not everybody knows about the cancelled stories or even watches the cartoons. It's worth looking up the unfinished story reels for those that are interested, and I have made a couple of videos on that topic as well. Again, getting back on topic, the Blu-ray set for Mando Season 3 does look great, but I just wasn't really a big fan of this season. It felt like a cash grab to compromise a compelling story in favour of just selling Baby Yoda toys. For the bonus features, there's a tribute to the late Carl Weathers who played Greef Karga across all 3 seasons of the show. One hell of an actor, and I was deeply saddened to hear he had passed away. Galactic Legacy, looking at the creatures and droids featured in Mando Season 3, is of interest. One of my personal favourites was this strange one-eyed cyborg-like creature, which I believe was featured in Episode 2 of Mando Season 3, and then Forging the Covert Part 3. Again, this will probably just be 10 minutes of stuff that didn't make it into one of the Disney Plus documentaries. Nothing all that exciting. If you are picking these sets up for new bonus content, it is honestly not worth it. Please save your money. Finally, we have Season 1 of Ahsoka, a show that has honestly grown on me the more I think about it. I enjoyed it for the most part. It was great to see Rosario Dawson fully embrace Ahsoka Tano in live action, beyond her appearance in Mando Season 2. And if you're a fan of Star Wars Rebels, the cartoon series, seeing how those characters translated into live action was actually quite surprising. The only one that didn't really feel right to me was Sabine. Really didn't like her in this show. Plus, once again, Disney proves that they just don't understand how lightsabers work. Qui-Gon Jinn would be fuming, to put things politely. And it was good to see David Tennant return to voice Hugh Yang in live action, which was entertaining, but most importantly for me, Lars Mikkelsen returning as Grand Admiral Thrawn. I love the character, and the actor does do a terrific job. The only downside, and really my main gripe with the Ahsoka show, is that the writing for Thrawn felt very lacking towards the end of this 8-episode run, but it's always a pleasure to see the villain essentially win. He really does deserve a win in my book, and I can't wait to see more of him in Season 2, even though it will likely be the end for his character. As for the Steelbook, I would honestly say this is my favourite looking one of the bunch. I love the artwork and how it captures all of the main characters. I think the coloration works exceptionally well where it stands out and feels separate from the others that we have had so far. And I think the inside artwork using a still of Ahsoka fighting Balin's skull, although very basic, I feel this is a very beautiful tribute for Ray Stevenson. It's very sweet since the actor did sadly pass away just before the show began airing. And I would be intrigued to watch the bonus features for this particular show, looking at the development of Ahsoka in live action, some of the stuff relating to Anakin Skywalker returning in essence, the crew of the Ghost from Star Wars Rebels. It'd be great to see more behind the scenes of those characters. And looking at the villains of Ahsoka, I'm all for more Thrawn content. So this is one I will likely pick up for the collection, and in retrospect, I feel the show does deserve a rewatch. Anyway, that's going to do it for this discussion video looking at the upcoming Wave 3 of Disney Plus Steelbook sets. Overall impressions? The artwork is still phenomenal, the contents we're getting some good stuff at the very least, but I'm very surprised that with the Star Wars ones that they skipped over, the Boba Fett show in favor of Mando Season 3, actually no, I take that back, I'm not surprised at all. But who knows, maybe like I said before, they will do him justice with a second season, and maybe that's why they've delayed releasing it on Blu-ray, so then they don't have it blocked as the complete series rather than Season 1, Season 2, etc. As for future releases that I'd like to see, I definitely feel as though we need to delve into the animated stuff for Star Wars. Clone Wars Season 7 deserves a physical release, and with the Bad Batch having now finished, being a continuation of the Clone Wars, I feel it does deserve a complete series box set for the collectors. Anyhow, let me know in the comments if any of these Steelbook sets have captured your interest, or do you have any of the previous ones that they have released? As always, I love hearing your thoughts and opinions, and for more content, be sure to subscribe to my YouTube channel at DVD Review Studios.
Are you threatening me?